welcome back to V-Roll. We're doing that giveaway, Pokemon poster collection, the Pokemon 151 poster collection. Great set, awesome cards, and your opportunity to win them. All you got to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Specifically, you need to be part of the channel in a little bit bigger way after you're done watching this one. I need you to go to a different video, and this is where it all starts to really make sense. You go over to this video here. That's the one where you need to leave an additional comment so you are actually entered to win, because that's where I'm going to pull the winners from. So if you're looking for where that video is, you can check the thumbnail and scroll through and watch all the other hundreds of videos, or, and this is the easier one, go to the description down below. There's a link directly to it. I want to make sure you have an opportunity. Today is Tuesday, so we are doing our Trending Tuesday, looking at sealed and single prices that are going up, trending upwards. We have taken a little bit of a different direction than I normally do, and I think it's going to be helpful here just because it gives us a more complete view of the Pokemon landscape and seeing where things are at these days. So let's dive in. I have a little bit further back here into the Sun and Moon era, not too far back, that's only a couple generations ago, but the Sun and Moon era, some boxes that I want to look at, and booster boxes in particular. There are some sets that we know about, like Evolving Skies. Oh my gosh, it's a hit, the price is going through the roof. Yeah, and in Sun and Moon, Cosmic Eclipse could be one of those that kind of fits that bill. It is going way up, all right? We're already at almost $1,100. So this thing's been on a pretty steady trajectory up over the past year. Even a year ago, it was at $850, which is higher than we're seeing with the Evolving Skies box now. So time on these sets is going to be to your benefit. I've been getting some comments lately of people saying, you know, what do you think this is going to be worth in a year? Will this be valuable to pick up? You know, should I sell this right now? Because, you know, all these things, there's all these questions that come up. Slow down. That's all I can really say is slow down. It's a marathon, not a sprint, meaning this is a long-term game. Most investments, time is going to be your best friend there. If you go and play the stock market and you want to be a day trader, you're going to have some wins, you're going to have some losses, and you're going to have a lot of stress. Maybe not. Maybe you get used to it and you know what you're doing, and it's your thing. That's great. But if you just hold out, stick around, keep there. There's so many studies, so many people who put it into practice, putting $5 a day into their markets, just constantly putting in a little trickle effect, but constantly putting in, never taking out, and over a course of a year, finding themselves at like a 30% gain. So they bought on the high days, they bought on the low days, and it kind of worked out really well that they had a pretty steady gain. That's kind of how it works with these products. That some are going to be really good, like Cosmic Eclipse. You know, others aren't going to be as good, but you can have a pretty steady gain. Lost Thunder. Another one from Sun and Moon here, almost $700. Is that where we're at? Wow. Yeah, $685. Not a lot of sales, not a lot of listings. It doesn't move that quickly. $1,200. People are really stretching to see if they can get it. I guess it's one of those things where, you know what, I'll list it, and if it sells, then we'll take the win. But if not, you know, no loss, because you're holding it. It does have that. But here's another question. How long can you hold? These are not easy to liquidate. Bringing this to another investment type, precious metals. All right, gold is worth a lot more than silver per ounce, at least. If you go apples to apples there in weight class, there worth a lot more. Harder to sell a $2,500 1 ounce piece of gold versus a $30 1 ounce piece of silver. So the liquidity of it is something to think about too. I don't really know the best answers all the time, but I just know the right questions to ask. And when I see these questions come up, I usually have responses in that effect. You know, what's your long-term game? Do you have an exit strategy? Are you planning on holding these for a long period of time? Are you going to start a channel and open up this will once be vintage stuff? Or what's your exit strategy on the products? There are people who've suggested that you can form relationships with your local card store, and over time you might have an outlet of where you can sell things. You're not going to get the high sticker price, but if you have a $750 box, maybe they can get you $650, $600, something like that. So you can be out, you're liquid on that a little bit more easily. You're going to have to pay fees if you go through eBay or TCG players, so there's a piece to that here. So maybe you take a little bit less and you unload there, and then they have the shop in the storefront and maybe the strategy on how to sell these higher ticket items. Something to think about. Ultra Prism, $750. Again, not a lot of listings, not a lot of sales. It's really hard to gauge these things, especially as they get older. Will we see these kinds of graphs where there's only a handful of sales throughout an entire year for Evolving Skies? I believe one day we will. I believe we will. $575. We're coming down in price a little bit here. Forbidden Light. I'm not quite familiar with a lot of these Sun and Moon sets, to be honest. There's a few like Cosmic Eclipse and Tag Team Up or whatever that are, got a lot of praise, a lot of great cards. So those stand out. Burning Shadows was one of them. It's the Charizard. But this one's actually interesting. Look, over the past year, it's actually come down a tiny bit from its start. All right. If you look at the last 6 months, it looks like it's been on a pretty good climb, but maybe coming to resolve itself into a more balanced price range there. 3 months looks like a total decline. 1 month looks like it's falling off. So perspective is another thing, and this tells you a little bit more of the same kind of topic I'm diving into. If you want to come into the game by thinking low and selling, you're thinking high, well, in a short period of time, that may not be the case. In a little bit longer period of time, they might not be the case. And is the gain worth it? You buy in at $4.23 and then you sell it at $4.23. Like we're talking pennies here. This graph looks crazy, but the difference is $2. So you need to start paying attention to the perspective of your entire timeline and your investment, what you need to do, how you can unload it, how long you're willing to hold it. The reason booster boxes are considered great, the reason people go to booster boxes, because even in a year, this has only come down 1.81%. The reason they're considered great is because they are condensed product, very small piece, considering it holds 36 packs. Okay, a lot of packs, smaller piece, easier to hold, literally for the real estate on a shelf. Just so much easier in that way. And if you ever had to, you could open it up and sell off loose packs, like they are taking that gold coin and divvying it up into now pieces of silver worth for the liquidity of it. I don't recommend that, because the sealed box is always going to be more than a set of 36 packs. Once you crack that seal, you lose a little bit of value there. In some cases, a lot of value there. But just all those little details come together. So for now, if you like investment, maybe you're like me, you are investing, you are toying with certain exit strategies, but there's no rush. There's no rush to jump to it. This is a long-term game here. All right, Guardians Writings Booster Box, again, Sun and Moon era. I don't know how popular some of these were, because they don't seem to pop up and they don't have a lot of specific cards that keep coming to the forefront. Burning Shadows had that Charizard. That's different. Cosmic Eclipse has a few in there. I don't remember what it's called. It was like a trainer gallery, but I don't even remember what they called it then. So I'd have to go back and look. This one's had some good gains over the past year. Not too bad, from the 340 up to the 420 range. All right. We're going on Sun and Moon base set. These are usually a good bet. So everybody's kind of like, oh, Scarlet and Violet, cheap little set, easy to finish. That's all true. However, the Scarlet and Violet base set is going to be a good booster box because it set the tone for this era. That's why Sun and Moon is doing so well. That's why the Sword and Shield booster box is doing so well. They set the tone for the entire era. They may not be the fan favorite, they may not have the best pulls, but they did change the game. They changed that time period in Pokemon. It's a little bit more than just a set. It's kind of a benchmark in history of an era. So, if you're going to go around and look for inexpensive booster boxes, Scarlet and Violet is still inexpensive, still readily available, easy pickup, and that's one of the few that I've gone and I've picked up another and another and another, just to kind of have a few of them, because I believe, based on Sun and Moon, based on Sword and Shield, based on other base set booster boxes, there's going to be a little bit of a nostalgia or a little bit of a bonus tax built into it because it changed the era. And it's no different here. Again, over the course of a year, we've only gone up a little bit here, $271 to $291. We've gone up $20. So this is why you're holding on long term. But is that even true? Can you get that? The lowest listing is $330. So you're really, oh great, it's only worth $290. Well, put another $40 on it, because it is possible. That's our lowest listing here, and this one has a few more sales to reference. than some of the other Sun and Moon era boxes, and this one's older. This is the start of it. Crimson Invasion, I think this is our last Sun and Moon box to look at. It looks like it's kind of taken off towards the end here, so either there's been some popularity or there's been some scarcity, but when I say taken off, it's really looking at things like the price. $255, $260, because you have the shipping, you know? It's not taking off in a wild swing of price, but it's kind of at that point of if you're trying to finish the Sun and Moon era and get each booster box, maybe this last one you need, it's in a reasonable range. You're not looking at a $700 box. You know, $250 is not outrageous for a booster box, and it has a lot of room to grow still in that regard. Going over to Sword and Shield, I wanted to pull out some of the lesser popular sets in Sword and Shield. We could go on with Fusion Strike and Lost Origin and Evolving Skies. We could do all that. There's plenty to look at and be excited about, but I kind of want to look at the lesser sets as far as popularity, especially now looking back. They've become lesser sets because even though the Scarlet and Violet era has some really cool stuff, the illustration rares, the special illustration rares, and all of those cards kind of giving us a totally different format, a different feel in the artworks, much more availability of getting the, you know, wow, that's a big hit kind of pull. The Scarlet and Violet era is going to have sets that are less popular, rather than the projected Rocket set, perhaps, or Surging Sparks getting a lot of praise, or 151 being one of the better sets. So instead of that, I want to look at some of these other ones, but you got to consider the base set here, the booster box from the base set of Sword and Shield. Again, similar story. Not a massive gain, but it's going up. It really is. You look at that, you could get 36 loose packs. You're at $216. All right, we're more than $100 just because of the sealed on top. So that's the difference there. At least an example of it. It's not going to be perfect every time or the same every time, but that's an example of the difference there. And we're at 327, 330, somewhere in there for this one. When you go to Rebel Clash, this one had some popularity, and again, it's all a matter of perspective. You look at the last month, it looks like it's really jumping up, but there's not a lot of sales. So you stretch out a little bit. It's been on the increase, the climb there. 6 months, okay, it was a little bit higher, but it's still working its way up. Over the course of the year, though, we used to be higher here in the 230 range, and now we're in the 222, 223 range, all right? So perspective, how you're viewing it, and also if you're holding it and you want to finally get out, well, watch it a little bit. It's been declining. Don't sell in this area here unless you really need to or really want to, and just take the cash and run. Wait for it to start climbing back up. Maybe it's resolving itself. If we had like a 5-year, graph here, it might look pretty different. But we could see there's a little bit of a trend up lately. So if you're looking to pick it up, we're in a pretty safe range to add that to your collection. We're also at a good time that if you want to sell it off, you're going to make a little bit. Now these are interesting. Darkness Ablaze. Really, this is the Charizard set. Yes, it's trending upward again, but we have only really just tipped into MSRP. Isn't that wild? Because Twilight Masquerade is already there, and that's not been out very long. Darkness Blaze, just tipping into MSRP. 143 is MSRP, so with the shipping, we're just over, actually, even on the lowest here, so we're at 150. So really, really interesting stuff. Same thing with Vivid Voltage. This is where a lot of people are comparing Surging Sparks because, oh, we finally got a Pikachu set. Well, again, yes, or we have a Pikachu set in the Scarlet and Violet era. But Vivid Voltage had the big Rainbow Rare Chunkachu, was going crazy, but it took a while for the booster box to get there because it's such a hard pull. It really is. It's really difficult to get a hold of in pulling it. But we're at 150, 155, no, 150 for this one. Again, just over that MSRP. Battle Styles. We haven't even reached MSRP on this one. I'm tempted on this just to hold it because I think over time it'll do a little better. Is it going to be a big hitter like Evolving Skies? No. Is this going to be settled out at $130 for eternity? No. So this might be a good pickup to think about. Wanted to look at some single cards, especially more modern, because that's kind of the how you invest and getting some perspective in it. And really, hey, booster boxes are great, but look at this card. It's beating half these booster boxes we looked at. Not quite half, but still a lot. And it's a crazy shot up to the top here. Jeez, you'd think it'd be part of 151 at this rate. stretching it out to the full, the pre-sale, the FOMO prices in that $92 range shot up there for a few of them, 133, and then it came crashing down like it should, and people are like, oh man, I bought too high. But if you wait long enough, now you're on top. That's the point. That's the point of today's video, looking at these prices going up. We do have a trend up here towards the end in this last month, maybe. Again, you start playing with the graph. It's all a matter of perspective. It's a matter of time in how you're doing it. It would have been nice to be in at that $100 mark for the low point. Look at that crazy price in comparison, the 184. But is there a chance it'll go back up? There's always a chance. I wouldn't say soon, but the longer you hold on to it, the better chance you have of it increasing. This one has been doing pretty steady for a while. Right around here now it's kind of declined, but we are working our way back up. When you stretch it out, it kind of looks like it's plateauing. Like this is where it's going to land, in that $72, $73 range. However, this does have a little bit more of an angle that I'd like to see in a trend going upwards. Walking Wake, Temporal Forces, another set from Pokemon that I think kind of wasn't as popular, and people were interested, but it fell off quickly, unlike something like Twilight Masquerade, or I think Stellar Crown is kind of in this boat too. Like, it was really exciting, and it's kind of fallen off quickly. I think everybody's just really ready for Surging Sparks, on to the next thing. We're all like that, where we like that next shiny object. It's kind of sad, because I think there's some slowing down in the market would be a little bit nice for a change, just because it'd give us a little bit more opportunity to appreciate this stuff. The artwork, the rarity, the pulls, you know, the chase, all of that. $60 on this card. It is going up. 64 right there. Is that our lowest? No, not quite. We can go a little bit lower than that there. So 55 it looks like is our lowest on that one. Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames. Pokemon pushed this out. People were like, yes, great. Oh, wait, it's really easy to complete. So it kind of fell off. But again, give it some time. Give it some time. From the beginning, $57. We're finally getting back up to that there, 55. It climbed for a second there, but it's been sitting around in the 40 range for a long while. Really not that hard to find at $40, $45, somewhere in there. All right, but now we're coming out of that. 55 bucks recently. We are trending up. Gardevoir EX. This one has more of a wild chart than you might be used to. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Very big spikes in either direction. Either people rushing to buy it and then it sells at a higher price, or people rushing to sell it and it has to come down quickly. So it's got a lot of drastic movement. Interesting to me, at least, because this one is a really fantastic art. Over the last 3 months, though, we've had a trend upward, and you can play that game of the points, the high points going up, 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 and kind of holding steady here, but it's trending up. So really beautiful artwork. If you see the trio of them with the Ralts and all the way to the Gardevoir, that's a really good set there. That little set from Scarlet and Violet base, it's really easy to get a hold of. Really quite inexpensive for a special illustration rare, and for the fact that it has such great artwork to it. So I'd say this is a good pickup. I think it's something that's going to be more appreciated over time. I think a lot of these special illustration rares and illustration rares are going to appreciate because of the artworks and what they offer. A little bit different on the Tuesday Trends today, kind of in how we're looking at it and the explanation behind it, and just some thought process behind your collection strategy, rather than just pointing out what's going up and hurry up, buy it before it's too late. One thing, I think it's a compliment, one thing I keep getting from people is, you're so much calmer than a lot of these other channels. You're not wild and crazy and a big personality. I can be. I have been in the past, and that has come out of me as a person. But for the most part, I'm a little bit more methodical, and I want to kind of take it in that pace, especially when we look at investing. There is a serious side to it. It doesn't have to be, you know, ridiculous, but there's a serious side to it, and it takes some thought. It takes some understanding. So I'm hoping that's part of what this channel is offering you, some thoughts, some understanding, and maybe some free cards. Pokemon 151, the poster collection, going out to one lucky winner. I do have other winners that I'm going to announce when it's time, other prizes, rather, for other winners. So be a part of the channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go back to the beginning of the video. I explain exactly how to enter into this giveaway for all of them once we reach that 4,000 subscriber threshold. And be sure to hit the bell, because I post 7 days a week. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.